giving you useful and practical tips to help you make more money selling travel. This is the Art of Selling Travel Podcast, and here to guide you through it all, your host, Glenda Beagle.
Hey, welcome back to another episode. I am so excited to have you here. This episode, we're talking about the not so sexy side of travel, and that can be that feast or famine. And really, it just means you're in sales. Feast and famine of sales professionals is unfortunately a reality that happens that nobody ever seems to want to talk about. And so we're going to talk about it a little bit today. You know, whether you've been in the industry for just a couple of months, you're looking to get in, or you've been in for years, this is something that I think we should be talking about. But we also need to talk about how to not necessarily like overcome it, but also to better understand it. So what is feast and famine? Well, that's the feast is when you are so inundated with so many inquiries that you just don't have time to think about what you're doing. And therefore, the commission checks are rolling, the service fees are coming in, this is moving. You know, the bank account is looking pretty plush. And then the famine, of course, comes when nothing's coming in. And that bank account, I don't think we could squeeze anything else out of it. Here's the thing. Unfortunately, feast and famine can be months of each. And when we're in the feast, as crazy as it sounds, it is the most likely cause of the famine. Because quite often, when we are so busy, when we have so many clients, when we have so many inquiries, so much going on, that we think, oh, I don't have time to market. I don't have time to be posting on social media. I don't have time to send my weekly emails. I don't have time for all these things. Then we come out of that feast phase of business. And it's like, holy crap, where did everybody go? See, again, and I've talked about this so many times in the past, we're not selling $10, $20 items. When you are selling travel, you are selling large ticket items. A lot of times that's going to take a longer sales cycle. Well, not a lot of times, almost always, it's going to take a much longer sales cycle. It's not near the impulse purchase that something on the end aisle of your local department store is. So in which case, if you fall off the radar of marketing because you're so busy, then your clients or potential clients start to forget you're there. Or they suddenly start questioning, are you still in business? In fact, I was looking up an agency just earlier today to see if they were still in business. And this is an agency that's been in business for more than 60 years. But in the last 2 years, they've only posted twice. So I don't have any idea if they're still open, if they're still in business. I have absolutely no idea. And that can be true for a lot of clients. Are you still in business? Do you stay front of mind? What have you done up to this point to maintain or create such an air of being memorable that even if you're not in front of them, that they're still going to remember you? This is where we have to set our ego aside and say, we're not that special. How are they going to remember that we even exist? Because in today's world, I don't think anybody remembers anybody's phone number. Growing up, I remember we used to have that slider bar that you slid it down to the letter and then it popped open this plastic box and it popped open to that section of the notes. If you went to a D, you slid it down to the D and it opened it up and it was all the people's names that were listed in the D that you hand wrote in. It was very select people that actually made it in there because there was not a lot of lines on there. But the thing is for the most part, we didn't use those because we could remember all of the neighbors' phone numbers. I'm from Canada. We used to have a store called Zellers. I can still to this day remember my mom's Club Z number going all the way back. That's probably 40 some years ago. And I can still remember what her Club Z number is. Ask me what social insurance is. I have no idea, but I can remember that Club Z number. I can remember the phone numbers of all of my relatives when I was a child. Trying to remember my husband's phone number, not so much, because we live in a different world. And if we're not putting things out to stay front of mind for our clients or our potential clients, how or why would they still remember us? So, the first step to overcoming feast and famine is to take care of the pipeline. So often, once we pack that pipeline full, we get that, okay, I'm too busy. We're just going to deal with what's in here. The problem is it can take absolute months to work through everybody in the pipeline. And once they've all come out the other side, so now we're just waiting on commission checks, which we could be waiting another 6 months or better. We look back and we're like, oh, snap. The back end of the pipeline's empty. Oh, actually, the middle of the pipeline's empty. So now we got to really shove and try and get them all through there and try and get them all working and try and get that filled back up. But now our clients aren't ready to buy. And that's how we end up with a really long gap. Because again, when we work in long buying cycles, now you could be another 12 months before the people just coming in are ready to start putting money into the game. So start getting money coming out the other end. So it ends up with these long feast and famine. So again, the first step is keep your marketing engine rolling. The second one is to keep your pipeline full. Big misconception a lot have, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about it on the podcast here. If not here, then inside of our Facebook group where we do some of our live trainings. I'll link that up in the show notes. But I talk about it in that just because somebody came into your pipeline does not mean that they're going to buy. In fact, if you don't know what your close rate is, I'll link that one up in the show notes too. I have just it's a really basic Google Sheets calculator or tracker so that you can go in, see, so that you know how long it takes for the average sale to close, so that you can see where are the leads coming from that are converting. Because if everything coming from Johnny isn't giving you a closed sale, and in fact, none of his are, then maybe we need to find out what Johnny's saying. Or is it a specific destination that never books? Is it a specific type of travel that never books? What is it? What do all of our non-bookers have in common? Because if we don't know what they have in common, we don't know what we can change. We don't know what's broken. Because the problem a lot of people have, and I'm chasing a squirrel here for a second, the problem that a lot of salespeople have is when they don't know which piece is broken, they try to fix the part that wasn't broken because they made assumptions. And then instead of making things better, they make it worse. But let's go back to the pipeline. So your pipeline, let's say you get 10 people in and you have a close rate of 5 people, just because I'm using easy numbers right now. So for every 10 clients that come in, 5 close, which means you have a 50% close rate. Now, if you want to sell 20 bookings that year, a lot of times people say, oh, I just need 20 people in my pipeline. Well, if your close rate's 50%, you actually need 40 in your pipeline. And yet we get so focused on, I want 20 bookings, so I'm only going to put 20 people in my pipeline. But in reality, you're not closing 100%. You're only closing 50%. So that's, again, why you need to know, what is your close rate? What is that number look like? What is the number of, what is that close rate? What is that percentage? So that you know what that number is going to take in order to increase your sales. Because if you're only banking on the 20 people, you're only going to get 10 of the bookings, which is not going to put you at your goal. which again is going to add to that feast and famine. We've got to keep that pipeline constantly pulling people in from the top as they're going through and going out the bottom. That's going to take some form of marketing, be it daily marketing through socials, weekly marketing through your emails, whatever that is, in order to constantly stay in front of people. Now, I will say I've been party. No, that's not the right term. I've been on the receiving end. That's the best way to put it. I've been on the receiving end of some pretty relentless marketing lately. I can't say I'm a fan. So I am going to say that you want to make sure that your marketing is in alignment with your ideal client, not in alignment with you, but in alignment with your ideal client. Because if I said it was in alignment with you, there's a good possibility you'd never market again a day in your life, because it's not easy. But instead, you want to make sure that you are getting in front of your audience in the way that they want. Now, let's talk about when the feast comes in. Part of the reason why the famine can be so much more detrimental is because we eat big when it's a feast. I don't know about you. You ever sat around a family holiday meal where there's all sorts of cookies and turkey and cheesecakes and potatoes and 17 different varieties of salads and all of these different sorts of things, where you feel like you need a new pair of pants just to be able to get home? Just me? Nah, that's the way it is. Maybe it's you too. But the thing is, though, is that when we have a big, huge dinner plate, we pile it full. In the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, and I know I've talked about that one before, but I cannot recommend it enough for commission-based salespeople. When you have a giant plate, you fill it up. When you have a smaller plate and you fill it up, crazy thing happens. You're content. So the biggest difference that I found in my business, and I don't follow all of his principles, but this was the nugget that I got out of it, that I set a payday and a pay amount for myself. So irregardless of how much money comes into my business, my paycheck doesn't change. It holds steady. Now, do I get a raise from time to time? Absolutely. But that's in alignment with the way the overall company sales have grown. It's not this peaks and valleys and ups and downs. I have a preset date with a preset amount, because regardless of how big it is that this deal is, or what I was able to close here, or how many courses I sold with this launch, or with whatever's coming in, it goes into an account. And from there, only the preset amount gets taken out. I get the same small plate every time. And the beauty to that is, rather than getting one giant plate when we're in the middle of the feast, I'm able to continue to eat when we're still in the famine. Because even as a coach, I have peaks and valleys. I have programs. So our Travel Advisor Success Studio, you can purchase as an annual member, or you can purchase it on a monthly basis. When we launched it on May 1, we had a lot of people join us on the annual plan. So clearly, May's income is going to look very different than what June or July or August is going to look like for that same program, because the majority of the people purchased annuals. So if I was to choose my numbers based on what I made in the month of May, it's not going to look the same in June and July and August. I've added a number of one-to-one coaching clients. Again, they've prepaid for that. I'm going to be doing the work over the next 90 days for them. So it's not that I'm getting paid every single month for those 90 days. I'm getting paid once, and then the work gets done over the next 90 days. So with that in mind, I have to make sure that I'm only paying myself based on what's going on each time period, if you will. Because if I was to spend it all based on, oh, wow, look at this check I got, I'm going to spend it all because look what I did, and I'm going to reward myself and I'm going to do all this. Now, don't get me wrong. I celebrate the wins, and I do little rewards. When I accomplish something big, I have milestones in my business that when we hit those milestones, they've already been predetermined. I'm going to go ahead and get myself a little bit of a reward. But my overall paycheck is the same on the 1st and 15th of the month. This is what gets deposited. This is what gets transferred out of my bank or my business bank account over into my personal accounts. Because you've got to have those be separate. Unfortunately, so many salespeople, and I'm talking realtors, car salesmen, all different sorts of salespeople, make the decisions based on what's in their bank account. In fact, we're going to be doing Accelerate at Sea in Q4 of 2025. I started teasing that, I want to say back in May or June. I kind of let the first little nuggets of that slip out. In July, I started getting pretty serious about it. And in August, we put out a wait list. It's not even open yet as of today that you can even book it, but it's going to set sail in November of 2025. Part of that is because I want to give you time to be able to come and join us. I don't want you to feel this instant FOMO where you're like, okay, based on the bank account, okay, yeah, I can go, or no, I can't, or, I'm going to put it all on my credit card so that, I'll figure it out. That's not how I want it to run. I want people to be able to make strategic decisions for what's best for their business instead of doing bank account balance accounting. Now, the flip to that, and this is part of that feast and famine, this is part of that mindset of it all, is I've already had people say, without even knowing what the price is going to be, oh, I'll never be able to afford it. And I took a moment. I was like, sorry, what? I'll never be able to afford it. You don't even know how much. And so many ways that is completely an irrelevant thought. Because the more relevant thought is, you don't know when you have to pay for it. Because we are going to do payment plans because we want to make it accessible to as many people as possible. The ship doesn't sail for another 14 months from the day I'm recording this. And you've already decided you'll never be able to afford it. Here's the thing. You're in sales. Sales is the number one paying industry in all of the world. You are completely in control of what you can earn. This isn't a job where you get X amount of dollars per hour. You don't have a boss that's telling you could only make $12.50 an hour and then you're just going to be happy with that. You are in sales where you are completely in control of building your own pipeline, of finding your own clients, of charging your own fee structure to make as much as you believe is possible for you. So when you believe you're never going to be able to afford it, you're right. Because your beliefs will determine your facts. Your beliefs will keep you where you are. My beliefs are that I choose to believe it's possible. Don't get me wrong. It is scary AF. The cruise line I'm working with, I personally, as a business, am putting down a bulk deposit of multiple 5 figures to hold the sailing because of the contract that it is. because of the type of booking that it is. And I have to pay that whether people get on that ship or not. Trust me, it is scary AF. But I also believe in what I'm doing. I believe in what's going to happen in this. I believe in what's going to be possible for each and every travel advisor that comes with us. Because I have been dreaming of this for years, I have been working to fill my pipeline. I have been working at it from a number of different angles. Part of that is simply letting people know it was coming for months before we even opened the doors. For having different platforms where we can connect with people, be it LinkedIn, be it Instagram, be it social or Facebook, be it the email list, be it this podcast. I'm in sales. You're in sales. Anything is possible so long as you believe it. Because so long as you believe, and it's not just, I believe this will happen, therefore it will. I believe it will happen so much that I'm willing to do what it takes. That's how you get past feast and famine. I can't live with feast and famine anymore. Therefore, I am going to continue to have marketing systems in place that are going to happen even when I'm too busy. For myself, I'm hitting the road for nearly a month coming up very soon here. So what does that mean? That means we are bulking a lot of podcast episodes. It means I'm getting my emails all ready to go. We've built in down days where we're just going to hang out at the hotel. My beautiful husband is going to do a lot of laundry for me while I am in the hotel room getting the work done. It means that we are making the sacrifices that need to be done in order to create the business that I want. I say we, but really it is my business. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to commit to? Okay, we will catch you in the next episode.